This is the Lock It In Podcast. This is the game show podcast where Paige and David talks about game shows. And now here's your host, Phenomenal One and David 3000.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new show on this channel that we're doing. It's that new show called Lock It In. Lock It In, the game show podcast. Here on this show, we're going to be discussing game shows and their many different forms and ways. And for this episode, I'm joined by Mr. David 3000. And David, what's up?
Hello guys, I'm very happy to be here. In case you don't know me, I am David 3000, which I am the host, one of the four hosts of the Rant podcast, Thursdays at 5 Central, with Tornado, Brian Martin, Andrew Hawking. Also, I run a YouTube channel by the under name of David 3000 on YouTube. I also a Twitch streamer on the Twitch channel David Gamer 3000. Also, you can follow me on Instagram at David34 with different one underscore. Also, you can follow me on Facebook with the same name, David 1000. And I'm on Discord as well. And I am a game show fan, I'm a sports fan, and I'm a video gamer. And I'm happy to be here on the show.
And David, I'm glad to have you here. And David, like you said, you're a game show fan. That's kind of how, I kind of met you through one of our friends, Jordan. But one thing I didn't know about you is that you were a game show fan. I'm like, hey, you got a game show fan. Like, I don't normally get connected with the game show side of the community as much as I would like to. So I'm glad to have a game show fan right here, and we can discuss some game shows. And boy, do we have a first game show to talk about. It is quite a doozy, and oh my god, you guys are going to be in for a treat because I'm actually going to play the gameplay for the show. It's a show called Get a Clue.
Yes.
And it's this new show. I think it came on just about the beginning of this year. It's on GSN, and GSN has had a bunch of great shows, but they've also had some shows that need some work and are just downright awful. This is a show that I say definitely needs some little bit of improvement. But there's this one moment in season 1, and we're already in the first season of the show, and we already have probably one of the most terrible game show moments we've ever had. And me and David, we're gonna react to this, and you guys gotta watch this for yourselves, because this moment is just icing on the cake of bad game show moments. Here we go.
And go.
I
don't know. Question.
You gotta say something.
Pass.
Come on, you gotta give clues.
It's on the end of your hand.
Fingertip?
It's
Fingernail?
what the cops take.
Fingerprint.
That's not the word. Gotta read it right, keep going.
Fingerprints?
Fingerprint.
Fingerprint.
That's not the word. Al, you can pass.
Pass?
Okay, new word, go. Look down, Gary, it's your turn.
What you put your jacket on. Another word for jacket is
Coat?
you put it on a
Hanger.
So
Coat
it's-
hanger.
Good, you got it.
If it's not right, it's
Wrong.
um
Incorrect.
somebody who's very
Time! Oh no! Al, you did such a good job of giving clues to the word fingerprint. Unfortunately, I believe the word was finger paint. You may have read it wrong, but they do look very similar. Guys, you are still walking away with $1,000 today.
Okay, I think I got a lot. I know I have a lot to say about that. Oh man, like I've heard a lot about this show from like some of the words that they used for the first season, but some of these words are just hard to describe. Are hard to generally describe.
Yeah.
Like improper. That is not a general word that should be used like that. And I understand like there should be there should be at least I think one or two challenging words in the bonus round. But when every word is like words that people don't generally use to describe things, then we have a little bit of an issue.
Exactly.
And it's not only that, but you can hear the host. The host is right there saying, "You gotta give clues." That's not the word. That is not the word. Like, how could you mistake finger paint for fingerprint? Like, there is so much going on with that bonus round that they need to fix.
This game show is like this game show right here is like hard than like tic tac toe.
Mm-hmm.
Like like you need like easy questions and answers. Like don't make it hard on the contestants. Because if you make hard questions and answers, the show will go downhill and you won't have big winners period.
Mm-hmm. Like
Like
this gameplay, like, oh my god, and I not mean to cut you off right there, but man, this gameplay, that was just bad. And this show has already had a little bit of a bad first season. Like there's so much I could talk about fixing the show. We're gonna talk about that later on, but make sure David you get your stuff in and finish up what you were trying to say there.
well, I'm gonna say this right here right now. The people that get a clue need to fix up the game. Make it more easier for the contestants. Have like hints. Have hints from here on and out. So that way like the contestants has a little bit of help. Just to make it out of the blue. And if I were if I was going to host my own get a clue game, I would have gone deeper in my thoughts to make like, how do I make this easier for the contestants? What hints do I do? What certain categories do I do to make it easier? And not just something you automatically give the contestants and assume they're going to get it right. Like you need them to have more time, more easier, and just something that make the game more easier and not hard as it already is in season one. What do you think?
Yeah, there's some things I would fit. Like there's definitely some things I think I would fix. Like first of all, like the set. Like let's take a look. Bring the set back up. Like that is way too big. That is way too big of a set for a show like this.
Yeah,
Like America Says is like it has a much like America Says it was cool about that, but at least that show has a decent sized set. This set, there is so much space, and there's times when Belushi is running back and forth to the contestants in the few episodes I've seen of this show, where he's running back and forth. That shouldn't be necessary. You shouldn't
maybe.
have to run back and forth to your contestants in a show
Yeah,
like this.
make the set like a size of a millionaire show set.
Mhm. Yeah, like this set is just a little too large, and the color scheme of it, the color scheme of it too, is they could use a little bit more of this. I could use more of this orange color because there's a lot of this blue color. There's a lot of blue. It could use a little bit more of this orange or this red color. It could use a little bit more to that set so we can get a nice little bit of a balance.
Exactly.
And speaking of hosts, like Belushi, he's competent of a host. He's competent, but there are times where I
He's
think that like sometimes I hear him yelling and that's a little much. I think that you could probably fit a better host into that position for the show.
otherwise he needs to work up his game.
Yeah, like his game, I think his game could definitely step up a little bit because sometimes he just does not look like, and also sometimes he also looks like he doesn't want to be there. Sometimes he has that bit of a look on his face, but like he's there. But the thing is, like the thing after, like I don't know who in GSN's mind thought it was a good idea to make this person like the spokesperson for GSN, because this guy Belushi is the spokesperson for Daily Draw on GSN.
Yeah.
And oh my god. And he does, and it's right during his show too, like during Get a Clue. He's the spokesperson for it, and it's like, oh my god. But
If
yeah,
if
that's,
the people at Get Crew don't make some changes to make it easier for season 2 and beyond, the ratings are gonna go completely down. Period.
yeah. Well, and the ratings I don't think are that good to begin with, like especially
Yeah.
for the GSN show. And like out of all the 5 original shows that they currently do on their lineup, this is definitely the weakest one. Like this is definitely the weakest one out of all 5 of them.
It's like Pyramid, but worse.
It's like if Pyramid and Bruce Forsyth's Hot Streak had a baby. You kind of get this show because it uses elements of both shows. Although I think if it had the rules of Hot Streak, I think this show would benefit a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because at least Hot Streak, at least you have to be inventive with the clues because you can't repeat words. I give Hot Streak that because it at least adds a little bit of something. If they play one word, I think if they try to turn this more into Hot Streak, where it's just instead of trying to build up points, they just do one word and they play for and they play for little bits of cash. They play for little bits of cash. Like they play like first rounds with $100, next rounds for $200, and then you can still have like that round at the end. And that way you can also kind of break out of that like you only get $1,000 for winning tradition, which I think GSN has had since like 2003 or so. It needs to change. That's been going on for a while now. That needs and you see it on all of their shows now. And I think it's just tired. I think it's just a tired thing. It needs to change.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if with the next 2 seasons they don't change anything, then people are not gonna watch. If I see like on promos, they say, "Oh, we're gonna make some new changes to season 2." I'll see what they have in store. But if it's like word, no, not having it.
Yeah, like
Have
I can.
have some have some cars, have some trips, something expensive in there.
Like, and I'm also kind of getting tired of this too, because all GSN shows right now have $10,000 as their top prize. All their original
Yeah,
shows, like America, well, except for America Says, where that is $15,000. That's the only exception. Is that America Says has like $15,000 as its top prize. You don't. Some of these shows like $10,000 is cheap. If we're being honest, that's a little cheap, especially because these
yeah,
team shows where you're dividing it up against 4 people, like that's cheap. Because without tax, like because like a little bit under taxes, you have like a little bit like over $1,000 maybe, like depending on where you live, depending on state taxes, like you might be left with like $1,000. So like that's cheap for a show like this.
they need to. Heck, there's Millionaire that has like $1 million. There's Price is Right, who once had like $1 million spectacular, and also has like 100,000 plus in cash and prizes. Like game shows on TSN needs to have that level.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, like there's some shows that can really break out of this. Like $10,000 for this show is okay, but maybe 15 or $20,000 would be helpful.
Or at least 50,000 or 100,000.
Mm. That might be a little much for this show, but I could see where you're coming from with that. Like, but I can say probably 15, 20, 25,000 would be very ideal for this show, but 10,000 needs to change. And we're going through,
Yeah.
and let's go through some of the other shows where 10,000 was top prize. Oh yeah, and I've said this before. Like, I'm pretty sure you've heard of Masterminds on GSN. I'm pretty sure you heard of it.
Oh, I heard of that show before. I don't.
Yeah. Like that show, you can win 3 times on there, but you win $10,000 for each time, which is a little petty. Like $10,000 for game one, I'm fine with that. But game two should be a little bit more. Like game two should be like $25,000. Then game three should be like $50,000 to make it much more of an achievement. And barely anybody has let alone won game two, let alone anyone even going to game three. So like $10,000 should be like for that first game, then $25,000 for the second game, and third game $50,000. Like that way, each win it means something, and you can also get some free advertising. You can also do some advertising, get some commercials out, like make a big deal out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like GSN has some opportunities about them, but they don't really take advantage of them. And like this is a prime example with
They're not doing
this
it.
show.
GSN is not good anymore. That's why people are moving to Buzzer and streaming services.
Mm-hmm. Like
So
even the
I hope
Game Show Central network on Pluto TV is better than current GSN, which I'm surprised I even said that. And that's just filled with some originals that they used to do.
I haven't really seen Games So that channel because that's not really in my area or I'm using my cable.
Do you
But
have the you can check it out on the Pluto TV app.
yeah, I'll look into it. But also, I hope TSN gets back to the 1990s or whatever in the 2020s. Like bring back Prices Right, bring back just any classic game show. Don't keep doing these originals that stink. Period.
Yeah, like I don't mind them doing originals because they've had some banger originals, but then you have shows like
I
this. You like what?
like Cash 21 for example.
Mm-hmm. Like yeah,
Look at
like the GSN has had some good originals. Jason's has some very good originals, but then you have shows like this where they're just like, oh, like you just get like a bad taste in your mouth watching it.
yeah. So is that for our first topic?
And now, I think this is pretty gonna be. We're gonna have an interesting conversation with this, and let's talk about some of the current news in the good old game show world. So, as you know, Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy are doing their season premieres this
Yes.
upcoming week, this Monday, and they have new sets, and their new sets look really good. For being honest, they look really good.
And the Jeopardy set is, I believe, when they did the tournament,
Mm-hmm.
the greatest of all time tournament. I think that is the set the season absolutely fits. I love it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm looking forward to the new changes that Alex Trebek said in the promo, and I'm very excited to watch it on September 14th, 20. Uh, the Eastern time, time.
Mm-hmm.
7 o'clock is when Low 14 starts at 7:30, both Eastern. Jeopardy starts and Chen um, Chen Kennings is going to be part of the Jeopardy team, which sounds very great. And I'm not saying like the first couple of episodes, but my guess maybe is that sometime in the season, uh, Ken might take over the back. What do you think?
I don't know if it will be someplace during the season. I think maybe 2 or 3 seasons down the line, I think they might be grooming Ken for that. I don't
Yeah,
think it'll be. I don't think it'll be this season. Although I don't think it'll be this season, but I think it'll be down the line. But
yeah,
this is also the beginning of the Mike Richards era of Wheel and
yes.
Jeopardy. As last season, he just joined the team. He left Fremantle, so he was not with Price and Deal anymore. And now he's going to be doing Wheel and Jeopardy. This is definitely going to be interesting going
It
forward.
is.
hmm Like, because Wheel of Fortune, I think, needs to make some changes, needs to make a little bit of changes.
Would like to explain?
Because as much as Wheel of Fortune is one of my favorite game shows of all time, the past few years of it have kind of been just there. And it's not really, and it has this stigma to it of it kind of being a show for middle aged people. For being, it has a little bit of that kind of a stigma for it. Like, this is a chance, like with Mike Richards, the show, like Mike is a younger guy. He's a younger guy. He's in his 40s. So he gets the younger crowds. He gets that. And this could be very beneficial for Wheel, especially in the puzzle department. Because you can think of many times have we seen Jailhouse Rock as a puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And many other stuff that like modern kids today just don't care about, if we're being quite honest. And like, I'm not saying that younger people like Wheel of Fortune, because hey, that's not true. Like, that's not true. I had a Facebook friend of mine who was. I've had a couple of my Facebook friends who have been on Wheel of Fortune before. So I'm not saying that young people don't like Wheel of Fortune. I'm just saying that it just has more of an appeal to the 49 to 49 up age demographic. And this is a chance for them to help kind of get back into that. They can have puzzles that can relate to the younger generation, and they can also do some things like improve the format some. Like, I don't know, like I think like maybe they could get rid, like maybe the prize puzzle might get ditched. I can see that happening because the prize puzzle kind of can influence the direction of the game, if I'm being honest. Because I'm pretty sure we've seen many episodes of Wheel of Fortune where the prize puzzle wins the game.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that can be a little bit of a game killer, because I don't think that one puzzle should be like, especially when there's like 4 or 5 puzzles in the game on, on an average game. I don't think one puzzle should be the be all end all for a game like Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah. Also,
Mm,
I know that people have been noticing the prices on Wheel of Fortune are getting it harder. Like, what was that one puzzle on Wheel of Fortune that ended up being $1 million loss? Like, I wish I knew it.
oh man, I'm
Uh,
trying to think. I'm trying to think which one it was.
yeah, but for those who are watching on social media, you can let us know in the comments or something what that
Mm,
puzzle was that ended up being a $1 million loss, because Wheel of Fortune needs to get back to the when have the puzzles be easy like the video games back in the day. Like have it
hmm,
easier, like have the puzzles like from the Wii games, the Switch games, the PC games, all of that,
yeah.
and not just
And
have
that,
like
especially for the bonus round too, especially for the bonus round, because there's many times where the bonus round puzzle is obviously a budget cut, is obviously there for budget cuts, because we've gone over budget. So we got to say something that nobody is gonna say. Like, they had this like strawberry fig jam puzzle or something like that. Like, who eats fig jam? If we're being quite honest, who really eats fig jam? Like, this is the prop. Like, this is what I was talking about earlier. Like, some of these puzzles aren't made for the current generation.
yeah,
And the bonus round, you can tell that, especially because like not many people this season, when you really think about it, really won the bonus round.
yeah. They need to work on their puzzles. Uh,
Mm.
but I
And
still love Wheel of Fortune. It's fun to
mm,
watch, and I'm just looking forward to tomorrow as
yeah,
you
like
as you taping
mhm.
this.
Yeah, Wheel of Fortune definitely one of my favorite game shows, but it definitely can be a whole lot better. Maybe I'll make a whole episode about improving Wheel of Fortune, because we could go much deeper into this topic.
We can do this for like episode 5 or
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
So let's see. Um, Let's talk about discuss how the pandemic has impacted game
Yeah,
shows.
yeah,
You
that is a
can make the
really
whole
good
topic.
topic. hmm Because most people know about this pandemic like since March. It has had a huge impact on our country, and right now it's still going on. But we're starting to, in some ways, starting to pave the steps to get out of it. But we all know, David, that there's been two shows that have been real casualties to the pandemic, and those being Let's Make a Deal and The Price is Right.
Yes.
Those are huge. Those two shows are huge impacts to this pandemic, especially because price, because because Lord knows when that's going to be able to go back into production again. Um, and I hear and I've seen people on Facebook begging about, oh, why can't Price go back into production? Like, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and when it comes to Price, there are like 200, 300 people in that audience. Like, there's a lot
Yeah.
of people that
You
are
can't.
waiting outside to come on in.
Maybe when they're back to production, maybe they can make like 50 seats, but we don't want that. We want to make it
hmm
like the original.
hmm Like, yeah, like there's like people cram that studio sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
it's packed. It is packed in that studio, and people can really get packed into that. And and people talk about like, I want the show to come back in production. Like, it's not a good idea for the show to come back in production at this moment. It'll be back, I do think so, one day, because I don't think CBS is ready to drop like one of their biggest cash investments. But it definitely is something that I think, like, people need to realize, hey, we're in a pandemic. Like, some shows are still able to go on. Like, I know Family Feud was able to move back to Georgia to do shows, and
Yeah.
Will and Jeff are able to do shows now, and other shows I think are getting ready to start airing and start taping. I know, I think 25 Words or Less is taping in Meredith Vieira's basement, from what I've heard.
Oh yes. That should be something.
Like, like, so, like, some people being able to get past this way for shows, but but then you have shows that are audience based, like Let's Make It Doing The Price is Right, where they need a little extra time before they can get back and up and running.
Mm-hmm.
But I will give it this, because they are starting to air older seasons of Price. I don't know if Deal is doing it, but I know Price is.
Yeah. And hopefully, everything will be all set with these game shows. I'm excited for Roll and Jeopardy. I enjoyed the 20th anniversary thing of Millionaire. Back in March, I really enjoyed that.
hmm
That was a pandemic still in a way because
Yeah,
there's only one contestant.
and that's getting ready to come back on soon, I believe, because that got renewed and that's coming back on. And they're still going to do celebrities, but they're also going to be doing frontline workers, and people that have been impacted by the pandemic, which I think is very nice.
Yes. Um. So, that's news on that now. Let's talk about Paige's experience on The Price is Right.
Oh yeah, most people don't know this, but I went back to the prices right back last year before everything happened the way it did, and it was a very interesting. It was definitely an experience. I went to a they normally they don't do 3 episodes in a day. They only do 2 episodes, but I went to a third episode that day, and it is definitely the experience. There's a lot of like we just came from, we ate at some restaurant. I think it was Italy. I think that's where we ate at. We ate there, then we went, and then we got ready. We got ready. We saw the studio, and then it's a big studio. They have metal detectors at the front. You go through the line. You go through your first of many lines right then and there. You go through lines, and there's a lot of lines. You fill out the paper. You fill out the standards and practices paperwork. Then you continue on, and then and then every now and then you'll see some TV screens outside. They'll play some videos of some stuff like telling you like how to be like the eligibility to be a potential contestant. You also take your pic. They also take your pictures. You also take your pictures, and then you can go to the then you go through where you submit your form. Then you continue on through the line, and then once you continue on through the line, you sit down. You can buy the pictures that you want if you want to, and you can keep. And then if you do, you'll get them as soon as you come out. If not, you just continue on. You do have a number that is attached to you and your name tag. You get your name tag, and with your name tag, you also get a number. You have to stay. It's one of those things where like they're very strict. They're very strict about this when you go there. That you have to stay in line in order to your number. So like if you have 145, you can't be ahead of 144. I think I was like 114. You don't see the numbers on the show, but they have you numbered. They have you numbered. I think Let's Make a Deal does the same thing, but you're numbered. So you continue on, and then once you continue on, you get to this point where you're interviewed, and you're interviewed by Mr. Stan Blitz. Stan does the interview, and he does it pretty quickly. Well, but he's been doing it since Bob days, so he knows how to get contestants. So he gets his contestants, and then once you get to the interview, you go and you sit down, and you're there for a long time. I mean, a long time. It was probably at least we got there about like our shows like we got there like 3:30. We probably didn't start taping until like 6 or 7, maybe 8 o'clock. Most of that time was outside. So yeah, you're outside for a long amount of time. If you go, make sure you bring some water or something with you, so that way you don't have to pay $5-6 for a bottle of water. At the front of the concessions line, make sure you do that. Then you go and then once you do that, they will bring you inside. Once you bring you inside, an usher will sit you down. George will do the warm. George Gray does the warm up. George Gray does the warm up until you take the number off. Then he does a little bit of jokes. Then he hits the podium, and then once he hits the podium, it is showtime. It is showtime. He reads the log, show number, tape date, and air date. My air date, the air date for the episode that I was in the audience on was November 7th. November 7th, 2019. I think I got a little bit of audience time during like the last game or so. I got a little bit of screen time, surprisingly. But yeah, the 6th game. But yeah, you run through you run through the show, first 4 contestants, George Wells' first 4 contestants. There's a guy with the names on a piece of paper. In case you can't see what's going on, there's a guy with a piece of paper. He holds the paper down. He holds the paper because sometimes you can't hear what's going on in the studio because it is so loud in there. It is so loud in there. So yeah, so he holds the paper with your name on it, and then once that happens, once all 4 contestants come down, Drew comes out, and the show is on and popping. Our first bid had an overbid on it, and that was edited out. They don't show overbids anymore on The Price is Right. They don't show overbids anymore.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they edit them out. They edit out overbids now. So yeah, so they edit out the overbid, and then they bid again, and then we had our first contestant, and our show didn't have a bunch of winners. I'll say that much about it. It didn't have a bunch of winners. But during the break, Drew will sometimes tell stand-up comedy. I know when I was there, him and George were making jokes about weed. So that was pretty interesting. And you run through the show, and they basically, it's basically you're basically about inside for 90 minutes or so. You're basically about inside for a little bit over an hour, so about 90 minutes or so. Then
So 90 minutes.
you're outside for like 3 or 4 hours. Like, make sure you.
So basically, 90 minutes is how long you're in the studio, the self taping.
Somewhat. We might finish early. By the way, we're running through this. We might finish early, but
No, I'm talking about The Price is Right.
yeah, 90 minutes. They tape about it takes about 90 minutes to tape an episode. A good chunk of content is edited out. a good chunk of content I think is edited out of the show, because they have a lot of, because that show nowadays has a lot of commercials, and you don't see as much as you do now. And I think Drew's even said himself, like, Bob used to have a lot of time, and Drew can barely get to a contestant's name, and he has a lot to work with on his hands. So you do the show. Then once you do the show, I know that we had George had to do some voiceovers again, so we had to wait for that to stop, and then that stopped. So then once that stopped, so we had to be quiet when we were editing out. Well, we were walking out. Once we were walking out, it was like 8 or 9 o'clock at night by the time we were finished. And walking out of that studio in the dark is very interesting. I'll say that much. But is it?
You know that when I see the prices like George prices, for the minutes that don't come on stage today, will get this blah blah blah. Did he get that certain thing or whatever?
Did you get what?
Like when George Gregg, like before the showcase down, he said, for contestants who don't come up on stage, they'll get this whatever.
Oh, yeah. He does that. Yeah, he does that. Nowadays it's just $300 cash. You don't get any like prize or anything. You just get $300 if you don't get on stage. You get $300 cash.
That's what you get.
Yep.
Oh, that's better than nothing. I think that price is like maybe I would have done like $500, but $300 is decent for those who don't come up on stage.
And probably because $500 is like the perfect bid amount for making a perfect bid in contestants row. So.
Oh yeah.
So.
I can see that. But let me see. So what is like is there any best moments you had on your experience?
Probably interacting with the people outside, because like you can't bring your phone into the studio or a camera or anything. So you got to keep your phone either outside or in your car, preferably in your car, because the area they have outside, it is very easy for someone to steal your phone. I kept my phone in the car, so if you go there, make sure your phone's in your car, so that way nobody can really get to it or anything like that. And interacting with people there, because you're outside for a long amount of time, so it's a good amount. So you're definitely gonna do something to waste that time. It's very easy to socialize with people around you, because they know the game, and they know a lot of stuff like that. I know the game a lot, so I'll just tell them, like like I was telling them, like, how there's over like 70 games in the current lineup of The Price is Right. And like some people didn't know that, and that was actually pretty interesting that some people didn't know that.
That sounds pretty interesting of how what the rules are and what you do outside.
Yeah. It's definitely something that I think, if you're a fan of the show, it's something that you got to experience at least once. Um,
Yeah.
Preferably go, maybe if they're doing another 3 show thing like normally they do 2. I would preferably go to I probably go to the second one, that way you're not outside early in the morning.
True.
So I would probably go to the second one. If you can go to the third one, go to the third one. Just know that you might be outside at night. Just know that. But
Yeah. Do they probably show you when this episode's gonna air?
yeah,
Right.
they have a thing outside telling you when the episode's gonna air. So it took 3 months for my episode to air, because I taped back in August.
Well, it does take a long time to edit and stuff like that. All right, let's go to our next topic here.
And David, I don't think most people know about you, and I know most people don't know you're a game show fan. So let's talk about some of your favorite game shows. Like, give me 2 of your favorite game shows.
Well, as one of my favorite game shows of all time, is Deal or No Deal.
And
Yes.
and why is what do you like about Do or No Deal?
Well, it ran from 2005 to something I'm in 2009 or 2010. It's a game show hosted by How Dell, which I think is a fantastic show. Um, they also did a syndicated version, which I did enjoy that as well, which is basically a half-hour version.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm, I'm gonna say this: I've been watching this for one time. Um, and they had some a lot of good episodes. They had some special episodes, like for example, around the world.
He had to go do something for a second. I'll fill in the little bit of context while he has to do what he's got to do. But he was talking about do no do. It's a very mixed show. It's a show I think that has mixed opinions in the game show community, but it is a pretty nice show. And David, continue where you were at.
Um, so yes, it's a good. They did around the world. Back to the special episodes, they had the $1 Million Mission, which I think it's a good way if you want to do something special. Um, you know, I think that's so. Uh, the version they did back in 2018, or 2019, I
Mm-hmm.
think that was great. It didn't feel the old version, but it was something to watch. Um, like that Christmas episode. Oh my god, I'm not. I don't know if people saw, but that is something
Oh
else.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Christmas episode. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Believe, and but
Mm.
so yeah, that's one of my favorite game shows of all time. On my YouTube channel, October 1st, I will be doing Video Every October, which basically Video Every October as people do on YouTube. I'm just doing Video Every October, which is basically I'm going to be doing every day I'll be doing a gameplay of Deal or No Deal, make it into a show, and I filmed some episodes back at the end of August, so I think it's gonna be good.
Mm.
Um, and my other favorite game show of all time is Wipeout, the one on uh ABC, if I'm
Mm.
correct. Wipeout with John Anderson and John Henson is a game show where you basically have these obstacle courses and contestants try to go to the finish line in the obstacle course and try to be the fastest. So that way they can go to the next round and go to the wipeout zone and hopefully win $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now, or 25,000, whatever it was. And I really like this show. It's a very funny show. Very to watch with your family.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's coming back to TBS, if I'm correct.
Yes, with John Cena.
Oh, that's the person.
Yeah, John Cena.
And when is the release date? I hope I can miss it.
I have no idea.
Hold on, let me look it up here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's where you say, of course. You can look that up when I'm talking. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yes, I'm very happy for that coming back. I'm gonna watch it, and I gotta say, White Bell is very good. So you can actually watch old episodes on Amazon Prime. Um, you can watch that. I don't know if there's episodes on YouTube, but you can definitely check it out on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which I'm gonna try to get back to watching that. There's this episode, this award show. That's one of my favorite episodes, episode 7, season 1, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And will I ever do a White Bell series on my YouTube channel? I have no idea, especially with this pandemic, and I don't know what to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, plus I don't even have a big pool or whatever in my house, so I may, if I ever like move it to a house, that might be a consideration. But I'm not counting on it right now. Um, and now, if you guys are wondering, oh, use Flash, uh, whatever. No, I'm not gonna be doing that. That's just a lot of time and work. Um, Plus Flash, I don't even know how to make Flash games or whatever. Like I know as soon as someone does. Um, who's part of my
Mm-hmm.
staff crew who recently returned to YouTube.
Mm.
And so what else do you have to say about Deal No Deal and Wipeout?
All right, so let's first talk about Deal or No Deal a little bit. And I almost was going to interrupt you, but I said not to let you keep going. But Deal or No Deal is a show that personally, I like. I think the syndicated version from 2010 is a little underrated. Like
Yeah.
I understand, like some of the folks like the show because like the show kind of based more off the UK version. Have you ever watched Deal or No Deal UK?
Oh yes, I have, and
Mm.
I watch episodes on YouTube, and I gotta say it. People say is an emotional show, and it turns out it is to be. 250 pounds is the grand prize.
250,000 pounds, yeah.
So I think that is a good show. Maybe 500,000 pounds would have been the grand prize or something. I don't
Mm.
know what is their relation to money there, but
Mm. I think
definitely
250,000 pounds was good, especially because in the U.S. that's like $312,000. You know, like
yeah,
that's a good chunk of change. That's a good chunk of change for a show like that, and I think it worked well. Like I think it imported some else like that by having like all the contestants have their own case. And I think like the syndicated version, I think if it got a little bit more attention to it, if they put a little bit more effort into it, I think that it
yeah,
probably could have had a better run in syndication. But I was glad to see that it came back 8 years. I was glad to see the show come back like in 2018. Although I think
yeah,
it shouldn't have been on CNBC. I think it should have been on regular NBC. I think if it was on that, then we could have had an interesting series going on with all the other shows. But I think Pressure Luck kind of was a killer to that because Pressure Luck last year there was nothing, no game show was gonna beat that.
yeah. I think that that person got canceled. I'm not quite sure why, but who knows what's gonna happen to that in the future. Now
Hmm.
let's talk about your thoughts on Wipeout.
I always Wipeout is very. It's a fun show for the family to. It's definitely a family show. Like you
Yes.
can like it's just so that everybody can get some enjoyment out of it. You can have a little bit of a laugh with. Like Wipeout is that kind of a show. Like I used to love Wipeout a lot when I was younger. Like now I haven't watched it so much. Like maybe I'll watch it again and like maybe like reminisce on how like Wipeout, how good Wipeout was. Like they use elements of Wipeout and holy moly, I know they use elements of that in that. But
Mm.
Wipeout is enjoyable. It's definitely one of those shows where if you haven't watched an episode of it, you definitely got to go and watch an episode of it, at least one. I will say
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it's very good. So, and also, if I was the producer, I would put the grand prize at $100,000. That's just me. Especially, hopefully, that's gonna be the grand prize on the TBS
Hmm.
version
Hmm.
this year. And whenever that comes out, Wipeout TBS this fall, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna try to record the episodes, and hopefully, it'll be a good one.
Yeah, I hope so. I
Uh,
think John Cena will be a good. I think John Cena will be a good host for it. I was impressed with him on fifth grader. On fifth
oh,
grader on Nick. So I think he'll do good here. And he's got I think Nicole Dwyer, I think her name is, or Nicole Dyer or something like that. As his backup. I don't know how she is. We'll find out. But I think John Cena will do good. I think he can provide a good amount of commentary, like a good amount of straight announcing slash color. I think he'll be good for that. So I think they did a good job with hosting selection there, and hopefully that goes down well.
also, let me know if you find the release date, because more numbers gonna come out. I don't know if that's a say.
And
But
David, Dave, with that said, what were you trying to say?
I was saying, let me know if you know what the release date is for the premiere.
Yeah, I'll let you
Um,
know.
and also it says comes out for a 20 episode revival, so hopefully it has a good run. I think it's gonna be a weekly series.
Yeah.
On Wednesdays.
Yeah, it'll probably be like,
So
they'll probably release it in like 20 episode bursts or so.
yeah, they have the Sucker Punch and the famous obstacle to brick balls, and there's the swimmer animation like an old person. So yeah. Um so I think that's gonna wrap it up for the show.
Yep. Unless you have any other final remarks to say.
Just follow me on social media. I'll put the links to my stuff in the description or comments. And I hope you all excited with new episodes to come. And also this show will be on Anchor as well. So
Mhm.
um that's all I have to say.
All right. And we'll tune in next time. Until then, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Lock It In, the game show podcast. Have a good night.